Hi, welcome to the SPIT Support MS Teams Governance add-in demonstration. SPIT Support is a full-featured help desk and IT support. It also has some advanced options you can add. One of them is the ability to do MS Teams request and governance. Let's take a look at this. In many organizations, MS Teams is taking off with users. And many users are creating teams, using teams for projects, using teams for groups, using teams actually all over the place. And in many organizations, they're finding that teams can get out of control. And the problem with that and having everybody create teams, and in fact, some places we've seen more teams than employees, is that behind every team is some infrastructure. There's a SharePoint site, there's a shared mailbox, there is document libraries. And when you apply this to all the teams, you end up with maybe 50, 100, or maybe more teams out there with all the infrastructure sprawl behind it. So what actually starts to happen in many organizations is instead of cloud workplace implemented online, it turns into cloud chaos. So many organizations are now stepping back and saying, how do we control this? How do we put some governance around teams? Well, this is really where it's important to establish an MS Teams policy and then actually control teams creation through governance. So the whole thing is, instead of just teams kind of all over the place whenever people want it, they should be able to request, just like anything else in an IT help desk, for IT to create a team for them. But it also, by doing that, allows IT to establish some policy about where to create teams. And one of the things we've seen from at least a very simple perspective is Teams policy should be kind of look like this. If you have a department or function, part of your org chart, for instance, that warrants a team. However, subgroups under that, say it's IT, but you have also a network group in the IT staff and maybe a desktop group or something like that, those should not be teams. Those should be channels under a team. Projects. Okay, if you have a project within a department, it probably should be a channel within the department. However, if it's a large project, let's say doing next year's annual budget and all departments are participating in that, that also could warrant a team, and even you could have groups under that team. An example might be a construction firm with a construction project, and you have your estimators, you have your engineers and other groups within the project that you could create as channels under the project. And then the real question comes into, and this is where you really need approval of, thumbs up or thumbs down of whether it should be a team, is a cross-department group, okay? One of the groups we see a lot is a leadership group. It's a portal for executives to share information and collaborate in the organization. It could be something like a strategic accounts group that is consistent of both services and sales people tracking strategic accounts. So those are the ones that are what we call ad hoc groups that you really need to decide whether they should be a team or be done in another way. So in other words, what you're really doing here is you're turning off open teams creation so that just not everybody can do that. You're going to establish a group who can actually is allowed, a security group that is allowed to create teams. The other thing you need to do is set up some teams naming conventions. Probably right now, if you have teams going on out there, there's names all over the place. And one of the things you'll see in how we've implemented our add-in is there's some naming conventions you can apply to it. You need to create a teams architecture, almost take your org chart and create teams, and then take some of the ad hoc groups that you have, like a board, like leadership group and those type of things, and put those in your architecture. Predefine who it makes sense for teams to be there. And then finally, from that, create a teams policy for governance that you're going to use when people are asking for new teams. So then that leads to, if you're going to turn off teams, you better give them a way that they can actually request teams. Okay, otherwise you're just going to really make your users mad. So what we've done is added to our IT help desk SPIT Help Desk a Teams request process that you can add into it. And in the request process, a user could come in, request a new team through the help desk. It's just another category of help desk request. That will actually generate a new tab, as we'll see, and then you can assign it. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to have somebody on the IT staff really be the team's governance person that actually is responsible for creating and managing teams. So once it's submitted, then what you're going to really do, it's going to do an end user confirmation. It's going to notify this team's governance staff person because they selected the category new team request. Once that's done, that can be assigned to that person, and they become the team governance owner for this ticket. And what they do is review against Teams policy this request. And in the request, we actually ask reason for the team, what type of team is it, and so on, so that some of that determination can be made. So it will either be approved or rejected based on the base policy that is out there. And one of the questions will be, maybe this should be a channel in an existing team. Okay, that's an example of maybe the marketing department has a team and they don't necessarily need a social media separate team. That's a group under marketing, so that should be a channel. Okay, and so that can be set up. So once, if it is a new team, then you can actually go and approve or reject the team. If it's an ad hoc team, for instance, especially, you can send that through. Maybe it's to the CIO, maybe it's to some other executive. And once it's approved or rejected, they'll have end user notification. If it's approved, you can actually then have it auto-create the team through a provisioning item. We have a provisioning list for teams that can transfer into that from the ticket, the information. It provisions the new team, and it notifies team members that it's all set up. So that is the team request process. And then you can later also go back and manage teams, even add channels from IT if you want to teams, or you can leave that open for the departments to add their own channels. So that's what the Teams governance add-in for IT is all about. And let's go see a demonstration of it now. Okay, I'm David Demo in this example here. And David wants to create a new group. It's a specialized client team that they're putting together that is a combination of services people, sales people, and management to look into some of the strategic client management. And they want to create a MS team for that. Now, the organization has shut down the ability to create teams just whenever anybody wants. But what they've done is they've added the Teams governance add-on to the SPIT Help Desk product. So now David could actually go in to the portal, and he can go in and say, need a MS team for strategic client management group. Automatically recognizes his name, and he goes in and he actually picks MS Teams request. And in this case, what happens is a tab comes up and asks for information about the team. So he can go in here and suggest a team name. Okay, and the team type is really an ad hoc. It's not a project. It's not a department. We have some policies in place about what types of teams. He's going to be the team owner, and also I will be the team owner, just so we can see what happens. Team members. Okay, and this is for it's the sales department and service, but I'll just put sales. Team description. This is a ad hoc team for, okay, and I just filled in reason for the team, team description, and I'll hit save. So in David's email, he'll get a notification that the IT department has received the request and they will be processing it. Now I'm going to switch roles here and I become part of the IT staff. And of course, a couple of things. Number one, I'm responsible for the teams, managing teams and the governance of teams. So just because that category was selected, I actually got an email automatically letting me know a new Teams request has been put in, and I can actually go directly to the request. Or, of course, it'll also show up in the staff portal in the cases list, where we can select it, open it, and take it through the cycle of approval and then provisioning the team. So let's take a look at how we do that. So I've opened this up. I'm going to go to details and status and assign this. We'll assign it to Daryl Trimble. First of all, this is a request, and assign it to Daryl, who handles the governance of our MS teams here as well. And of course, we have carried through also the MS team information that came across with this too. So I'll just hit save, and that will go over to Daryl. I think Daryl was probably notified because he is in the category for setting up and doing governance on MS teams as part of the IT group. Okay, and as coming in as Daryl, I'll go ahead and open up the ticket that's been assigned to me. I got an email. And I'll go over and take a look at the MS Teams tab. And what kind of team is it? It's an ad hoc team. So these are the ones we're trying to really analyze and say, should it be a separate team, or should it be a channel under an existing team, say a department or something like that. But this is actually the executives actually wanted to put together a group to work on a group from both sales and services to work and make sure that they work as a team for our strategic clients and making sure that they're getting the best service and account management too. So team request status is submitted, and for this one, I see no problem with putting together this one. It meets the policies that we've set up for teams. So to do this, what I can do is to actually go in and we'll approve this, and I'll say create team. And what this is going to do is actually create a team record in our MS Teams provisioning list. And that's where I can actually set it up further and then actually have it automatically provisioned. So I'll do that. It will take this information, bring it over to that list, and then we can go ahead and do provisioning. Okay, I go under IT resources, and if we take a look at over here, here is MS Teams management. And we should see it being added to this in just a minute. And here it is. Now what this list is actually, this is how we can track what teams we have provisioned out here. And so we've already provisioned one for the sales department, a leadership portal for our executives, and now this is strategic client team. So let's go take a look at this. Now, in setting up the team, we just don't take the name that they have. It may already be a team name out there or some other things too. So we actually do put this in, so we'll call this strategic client. And we don't need team because it's already a team. But this suffix is very important here. This is an ad hoc team, and we're Radiant Solar here. And so what we're doing is actually this suffix will actually be put into the actual team name, which we'll see down here, that is constructed once the team is done. And anything with a -RSA on it, we know that that was an approved IT team. We have a lot of teams out there that are just kind of the rogue teams that were created before we put in this governance process. So by putting RSA, it helps us identify that this was something, and it happens to be an ad hoc team that was approved by our team's governance policy. Requester is David Demo. We're going to actually make the approver our CIO, and it'll be me so that we can see it. And we're also going to assign it to me to make sure it gets done out there. Type of team is ad hoc. The status is requested. Once it's approved, it will change to a sent for approval type of thing. So we'll send that out for approval here. And team members here are set up. It's by the sales department. We can also put another department in if we want. And reason for the team, again, was executive board of directors requested this after we lost a couple of key clients. Okay, and so I will save this. It will actually be then go for approval. And this is the email the approver gets, and information about the team and why it was set up. And I'll go ahead and approve it. Now, as the IT person assigned to ensuring the team gets provisioned, I also get an email. I don't have to wait and look at the team provisioning list. I get a notification right away. So now I can see that the team status has changed, and the approver, and if there's any comments from the approver, that would be put in there as well. So at this point, the team has not actually been created, but now that it's been approved, I can go in, edit this, and we can see here's the approval, and we can see that the status has turned into approved, and now I can go in and create the team and hit save. And this will actually provision the actual team with the owners and the members in it. They will get notified, and that will basically finish up the process. We'll get the actual team name, and we'll actually get a link to the team over here so that we can at any time work on it. Now later we can also go in and add people and manage the team as well. This is not meant to take the place of Teams administration, but it is basically meant to be Teams governance for creating and requested teams. Okay, and we can see that it populated the actual team name, which is concatenation of the suffix and the unique name, which makes sure it's a unique name, and tells us that it came through the governance process. We also can link right to the team right here as well. Let's take a look at the team. Okay, we can see that it's created our team here, and we've got posts, we've got people on the team already there, put in there. Files, folders are here, and then we can add any other tabs. Now in the future, we're going to actually be able to provision teams through with templates and also adding tabs. From also the provisioning right now, we could also go in and open up that same list item and add additional channels at this point as well too. So that is the Teams Governance add-in for SPIT support. If you'd like to learn more about SPIT support or the Teams add-in, and perhaps you're an SPIT support customer, go to spmarketplace.com and select SPIT support, or you can actually go down and select add-ins and see the team add-in as well. Contact your account representative if you want to upgrade your SPIT support to use the Teams Governance add-in.